The envelope began after a funeral. Martin had gone to say goodbye to an old friend, and he came home quieter than usual, not just sad but shaken, because he had watched something that scared him. His friend's wife wasn't bad with money. She was simply grieving while the world demanded that she perform like a financial expert. People asked her questions she couldn't answer, not because she didn't care, but because nobody ever expects to become a widow on a random Tuesday. Where are the accounts? Which bills are due next week? Who do I call about the pension? How do I access cash quickly? What happens to insurance? What's urgent and what can wait? That night, Martin opened the kitchen drawer, placed an envelope inside, and wrote one sentence in heavy marker. If one of us goes, it looked dramatic. But it wasn't drama, it was love. Translated into clarity, Evelyn didn't want a complicated binder, and Martin didn't want spreadsheets. They wanted something they could actually maintain, without turning their lives into a project. So they made a deal: one envelope, 7 short pages, and 1 small update session each month, like a habit. No aburden. They called it their kitchen drawer plan, not because it was fancy, but because it was close. Because when panic hits, you don't want to search a cloud folder. You want to open a drawer and find certainty. Inside the envelope were 7 pages, and each page answered a question a grieving person shouldn't have to solve alone. The first page was a short list of who to contact: a family member or trusted friend, a doctor or clinic, funeral preferences if they had them, financial institutions, and a lawyer if needed. À ce bottom, a sentence in bold said, you don't have to do everything today, because that sentence matters more than most people realize. The second page wasn't a perfect budget, but a survival snapshot, listing pension income, benefits, withdrawals, and other income. Underneath were the essentials like housing, utilities, insurance, food, phone, transportation, medical costs, and subscriptions. It answered one urgent question: what must be paid so life stays stable. The third page listed accounts, and where they lived: banks and investment providers. Account types, the last 4 digits, customer service numbers, and where statements were stored. Because in grief, the hardest part isn't doing the work, it's knowing where to begin. The 4th page explained access without writing passwords, noting where the password manager was, how to unlock it, where recovery information lived, and who the trusted helper was. Someone who could sit with you, not take over you. Because this wasn't about control, it was about safety. The 5th page mapped important documents, where the will was stored, where insurance papers were kept, who the beneficiaries were, where property documents and vehicle titles lived. There was a simple reminder to review beneficiaries yearly, because the most painful surprises are often administrative. The 6th page was the 72-hour plan, only 3 steps long. Breathe and call one person. Don't do this alone. Secure immediate access to essential cash for food, utilities, and transport. Pause big decisions until support and clarity return. Because when you are grieving, your brain is not built for major financial decisions. The final page wasn't a checklist at all. It was a letter, a voice on paper, because numbers keep life functioning, but words keep a heart from collapsing. Years passed, and the envelope became part of the furniture, updated sometimes, forgotten often, always there, until one morning. Martin didn't come down for tea. Evelyn called his name once. Then again, life shifted into that unreal speed where minutes blur into hospital corridors, bright light, voices, and words that feel like they land on someone else's life. When she came home, the house was too quiet, not peaceful quiet, the kind of quiet that has weight. She stood in the kitchen, stared at the drawer, and her hands shook as she opened it. And there it was. If one of us goes, grief is heavy. But panic is heavier. Panic whispers that you're alone, you're behind, and you're going to lose control. The envelope answered those lies. Evelyn didn't magically become good at paperwork. She simply had a path. She turned to the first page and called one trusted person, not 10, and she said a simple sentence, "I need help, just for today." Then she read the line at the bottom, "You don't have to do everything today." That line gave her permission to be human over the next days. The envelope kept her life from unraveling. It showed which bills were essential, where to begin, prevented lockouts, avoided rushed decisions, and stopped choices made in shock that she might have regretted for years. It didn't erase grief, but it removed confusion, and that gave Evelyn a small, life-saving gift: space to cry, space to sleep, space to grieve the person, not wrestle the paperwork. A week later, she opened the last page. The letter, it wasn't about banks or taxes. It was Martin's voice written down. It reminded her that she wasn't failing. She wasn't behind. To take one step at a time, to ask for help sooner than she thought she should, to not make big decisions while her heart was bleeding, and to keep living in a way that made her feel safe. Evelyn cried, not because she was lost, but because she felt held, even in absence. Months later, she didn't remove the envelope. She updated it. Then she made a second one for her sister, because she has been förälder, or you love someone who is. Make your envelope this week. Realized something most people learn too late. Retirement planning isn't only about money. It's about making sure love doesn't leave. Comment envelope, and he'll share the 7-page template you can copy today. And follow for the next chapter, the pension letter nobody read.